Welcome to Finding the Fire. The fire inside is what drives us. Left unattended, it can burn out of control. In Finding the Fire, Cindy Jacobson speaks with guests, telling stories of trauma and triumph. In sharing our experiences, we find connection and understanding. Join her now as we burn through the walls of separation. Get ready for Finding the Fire, and let's find your spark.
All right, we are on, you guys, you girls, guys and girls, and everything else. So we have Beverly Whipple with us today, your tattooed realtor.
Thank you.
I have no idea why they call you the tattooed realtor.
You don't know that in the winter because I have all my clothes on. Hit me up.
Oh, wait.
Hit me up in the summertime.
Are we already going there? We just started this podcast.
Yeah, so
we don't want to be censored.
Like
I'm all covered.
Yes, so tattooed realtor, I have many tattoos, but that's the least interesting thing about me, so.
The least interesting. This is awesome. You guys, this is why Beverly's here. And I'm like, this podcast is probably going to go longer than the 25 minutes we have scheduled. So we might have to have her back on once or twice or more. But anyhow, yes, so we do have Beverly, your tattooed realtor, here. And Cammie's back from Belize. Thank goodness.
Yes,
I missed you.
Sure. It was like a touch and go. I wasn't sure if I was coming back.
Well, and then who knew if she was even back because she lost her phone there, right?
It's not good. It's not good when you just go dark.
You can't
for
live
days.
Without your phone these days.
Out of the country.
It was really, really, really. I'm still pretty scarred from it.
I'm
still shook
scarred from it. I was going to send
Freak
out
out when I lose mine for 5 seconds.
Yeah, imagine being in a third world country.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not good,
thank you.
But I survived.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. We did have an amazing guest host last time that
Have you met Sean Donovan?
Have
if
you met
have
Sean
not,
Donovan?
Get on down here. Or if you want to do a podcast, by the way,
yes,
come down here.
Reach out.
I tried to do it. Can I just say, I tried to do a podcast by myself at home. I bought all the stuff, tried to set it up, and I was just like, oh, I do not have time for this.
Same.
Then Sean Donovan comes into my life.
And rescued.
And like,
Rescued
it's all
us.
situated. It's all set up. You come in, you record, you scoot on to your merry day, boys and girls. I'm telling you what, if you want to, or anyone you know, Sean Donovan at DSU.
There's the
that's
plug.
that's
There's
what I'm
the
saying.
plug.
Okay, I'm done now.
Okay.
But like, I just
He'll
got
pay
off
you
the
later.
plane and I could come here and it's all ready and it's so nice.
Oh, thank you. We love you.
And then she got to use him last week to be on the show.
I got to
Poor
use
kid.
him.
Poor
I
kid.
I know. It was nice of him to like take that hot seat because it gets pretty toasty in here, especially when you got me like asking the hard questions. Ooh, Beverly's turn's coming up. Yeah. So we wanted to just touch on a few things, but there was something that I was told last week or 2 weeks ago, and we're all about everybody's got a story, right? A story they put out here for the world to see, but really there's so much going on behind the scene, like this. In fact, whose phone is that? Ooh, whose phone is that?
Who's buying breakfast?
Is that me?
It's Cindy.
It's not me. Mine's on vibrate. Sorry, it wasn't me. Anyway.
It was Cammie.
Totally Cammie, because Cammie lost her phone in Belize.
She got quiet real quick, too.
So she doesn't even know what her phone sounds like. So anyway, yeah, everybody's got something going on behind the scenes that you don't know. Like, we're all here on this podcast today, but before, we were just talking about yesterday and the days leading up to, and even this morning, like, we all had stuff we're dealing with, right? So the message that somebody said to me a couple weeks ago, and it really stood out, they're like, if you just treat everybody like they're in crisis mode, you'll be good. Because you don't know. Like, you that person that cut you off, like, maybe they're on their way to the emergency room with a limb missing. You don't know. So just, think about that. Next time somebody's, like, ticking you off, think maybe they have something going on that you don't know about.
Be the light of their day.
All do, yeah. And I intentionally wore this shirt today. I don't know if you can see it here.
It says beautiful disaster.
Beautiful disaster. Okay, and there was a reason behind that, because yesterday I felt like my life was disastrous. And and we all do that. We all go through that. We all have something going on. But it really stood out to me this morning as I'm getting ready to come here and whatever. But moving back 8 years ago, my husband committed suicide. And I was such, like, just not even present, right? Not in my head. I go into the gas station to get a coffee or whatever, and I'm coming out, and some guy's checking me out. He's holding the door open. He's, like, eyeing me up and down and says something to me. And I was pissed. I'm like, dude, you have no idea the disaster going on in here right now. Like, it looks all pretty on the outside, but inside, like, I'm going through some shit, and you want to stay away from me because I am a mess right now. That was what was in my, I didn't say any of that. But it just stood out to me today. Like, we all have something we're going through on a daily basis, no matter what, you know? So if we could just be a little bit nicer. And that's the reason behind this podcast, is just to bring people on and be like, hey, look, like, on the surface, on paper, Beverly Whipple, your tattooed realtor, is amazing, which she is amazing inside and out. But she also is a person. She also goes through stuff just like we all do. So
every day.
Yep.
Every day is a new battle.
Every day. So before we get into Beverly, let's talk about a little bit about Belize. Let's touch on that really quickly.
Dear. I had the opportunity to go. So my organization, Global Education Philanthropists, is laying some foundation work in Belize, one of the countries that we serve. And we were doing an outreach mission there. And I was able to locate some really interesting places that are in need. One of the locations is called Hope Haven. They serve women and children that have been severely sexually abused or trafficked and are now homeless. And so they work with social services and get them into a private school, and then hopefully get them back to a family member. But it's a long process, right? So we were able to go in and serve the community meal. And then there was one little girl in particular. She's been so incredibly beat, her and her sister. She's almost 3. She's 2.5. She couldn't feed herself. And her grandma was there just trying to keep these girls, these girls' light. And this poor grandma was at her wit's end. She's like super old, like I'm a grandma too, and I'm pretty old, but she's older than me. And so I could tell she was just tired. And I sat down with her and helped feed those babies and sang to him. I'm going to cry, just remember him. And read them stories. And so I was supposed to go. Luke Bryan was there. He had a concert up the beach, and our friends in town were like, let's go to that. And I knew dang well that I was like missing my intimate concert with this. And I thought, I don't give a care. I really didn't. And like, this is what it's all about. And so I just sat there with them until we literally like had to close the doors and like get them home. But it made me realize they were healing me, right? I was able to just sit and be a light for them. And we'll go back in March and then again in July. But that's what we do, is we go in and help these organizations that are in these countries that are trying but just don't quite have what they need. And we bring in medical and dental and, education and things like that. So that's what I got to do. So when I lost my phone, I was really shook up. But it was like, okay, this is a fleeting possession. I had to just I lost it on the golf cart. So the mode of transportation, there's a golf cart. And there's this one bridge that like you go up and over, and it's so fetch and bumpy. And I don't know if I lost it there or if it got stolen at dinner. We don't know. But it doesn't really matter. And made me realize whenever you're gone, sometimes comms go down, communication goes out. And I just had to rely on prayer at that point, get home that way. But yeah, these sweet, beautiful people that have been through living hell have been able to, we were able to just lighten their load for a second.
Yes, that
for a minute. Oh, the sweet babies. And they were truly so happy. And every time I come back from an outreach mission or anything, it's hard to acclimate back to this first world
it is.
interaction.
It's shocking. It's shocking to see how they're living and what they're going through, and and their lives are so simple and so loving, and so and here there's just so much distraction and so much going on, and we're like, okay, what's real? What really matters in life?
Yeah, it's just loving each other.
Yeah,
whoever gets put in your path, just love them.
Yes, down to here, and we're all in crisis mode.
I just felt so honored to be in their presence. Just I can't believe I was able to be with them. They were just so beautiful. So
good.
Yeah, that was
back
Belize.
safely.
Made it back safe.
Yes, kind of something along what you were talking about, Cindy's. We're all in our crisis mode. Ask people how they're doing. I recently was, I'm not going to say altercated. That's not a good word, but presented with a little bit of judgment, I feel. And I was like, you didn't even ask me how I was doing today. I'm in crisis mode, and you're going to come at me with this?
Wow.
You didn't even, hey, how you doing? How's it going? No, it was just immediately like, attack. And I'm just like,
That's
okay.
true. I don't think I asked people, how are you doing?
Yeah,
should do that
seriously, it takes no effort on our part. And I see this on Facebook or Pinterest, all those little memes. It's like, we're all fighting the battle, you know, it costs nothing to be nice. But when you think about it, it really doesn't. Text somebody today, like, gosh, I haven't heard from that person in a while. Text them, hey, how you doing? You've been on my mind.
Especially if it's me, because I don't have your number anymore.
Yeah. She's lost all the numbers. Everyone call her. Let's throw the number out.
P.S. Like, give her a text and tell her who you are.
Please.
I was having a good time with her
I
yesterday.
text Cindy like literally every day of my life 100 times.
And she was like,
texts
who
me-
is this?
She's like,
I'm like, only the most important
Like, okay,
person
got it.
in your
We'll see.
life.
How many names did she throw out before she got
no,
down
she
there?
could
Oh,
tell.
that
She's
would
like,
hurt.
you little bugger. I have no idea.
No, I like that you said that though. You know, there's a couple times that stand out to me. Like one after I lost my son and I had a bill collector call me. Okay. I had a bill collector call me over some $35 stupid bill that I totally forgot to pay because, you know, life. And I was like trying to hold it together because I'm like, it's just this $35 bill. It's not this person on the other side's fault. But I was at my wit's end. Like literally that was the straw that broke the camel's back. And I was trying to be nice and they were just being so, oh, you owe this money. And I'm like, you know what? I lost my baby last week. So F your $35. And I did filter that. So hopefully we don't have to go back and bleep that for this indication. But anyhow, yeah. And they were like, okay, you know, and then they took a step back and there was a couple other instances I can really think about that I'm just like trying to hold it together, and finally I'm like, you know what, I don't even care anymore. And after my husband committed suicide, just anytime people would call me, eventually I got to the point I was just mad at the world, right? I'm like, you know, I've lost a baby, I've lost a husband, I am a single mom of 3, like I am barely holding my crap together here. So on this, if you're not going to be nice to me, then I'm just going to, like, I was just very blunt.
I'm focusing on breathing in and breathing out. That's it.
I'm like, you know what? And as soon as I would say that, everybody would back down.
Of course.
Oh, I'm so sorry. What can I do? I'm like, you know what? Maybe just think before you speak.
Yeah.
Just be nice.
And be genuine, you know, be authentic. Like, oh, hey, how's it going? Okay, here's my issue. Like, no, like, how are you?
Yeah.
You don't have to have this huge conversation, but yet just how are you, you know, and just really care about that person. I mean, you obviously care about them because you're talking to them in the first place, but yeah, for sure.
So how are you?
I am holding it together.
Holding it together.
Like the rest of us.
Yes.
You know, I'm upright. I'm sniffing the air. And just like Cammie said, it's all relative. I mean, I've got 2 kids and, you know, this is the worst day ever. I'm like, it's Sunday. We're
really the
together
worst
and you're upset because you can't go spend your $6. Yeah. Like you said, is it really the worst day of your life? And you
But it feels real to them. It feels super real.
It absolutely does.
Yeah.
But then I hear my mother coming out like, there's kids starving wherever, you know, and you just say all that stuff that you heard when you were a kid. And it's like, okay, he has no idea, you know, like
No, they don't
bring
know.
they bring it down. But yeah, so it's not the hardest day ever. And I'm positive for the future. Like I said, I'm here, I'm present, I'm mindful, and I'm just doing me. And I want to be, you know, positivity in other people's lives because right now that's what I need. That's what I crave is positivity and light and love. And so
And like positivity expands, right? And so the more you share a little bit of it, the more it keeps expanding. And that feeling feels like expansion in your heart, you know, like
it's like a synergy.
Very true.
so when you ask someone, so when I was in Belize, I don't know if you guys know Scott Bell from Pay Equity.
Of course.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
So I was with him down there and he does that. And I started doing it too because he would be like, well, how are you, sir? Like at the store. And it would stop the checker. And I saw people interact with him and they just love him down there.
Yes.
I think he's the mayor of the whole town, by the way. Anyways,
Probably he's got the keys.
totally. I mean, he's just amazing. And so then I'm like, I'm going to try that. And it really did change me. So I'm glad that you mentioned that. I want to make sure I do that more.
You know what's funny? Like simple things. So I was with a friend this weekend and we went to Vegas and same thing. She's so bubbly and fun and light. And I mean, when people wear name tags, I make it a point to use their name. But she was just so overly bubbly about it. She's like, well, thanks, Joyce. I hope you have an amazing day. And this lady, like, Joyce, hi, Joyce. She just stopped and looked at her. And it was like such a good feeling for me. I'm like, you're amazing. Now I know why I love
I
you.
wanna
You're
do
so
that.
fun.
That
Yeah.
sounds
Like
fun.
it cost her nothing to just be authentic and happy and just pass it on to the next person. So
Or
hopefully
Joyce could have been having a heck of a morning.
yeah, exactly. And now hopefully Joyce can pass that happiness on to somebody else, you know? So just keep rolling. Pay it forward. Is that it?
Pay it forward. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think it's contagious either way, too. If you just kind of go cantankerously through your day, then you feel terrible. But just, I'm going to try adding that. How are you to everyone?
Yeah.
That I want.
How are
know,
you
how
today?
Are you doing?
How are you?
Have a great day.
That's right.
I love it. I love it. So you kind of touched a little bit, but so if you're going through something really hard, what is your go-to? Like, say it is the worst day ever. It's the worst day ever. And what is your go-to in that moment to
Get through it.
get through it? Yeah.
I'm still finding that out. For me, it's knowing that I'm still here. I'm going to still be here. You can take everything from me. You can run my name through town. You can take the clothes off my back. You can take everything from me and leave me stranded somewhere. I'm going to get out of there. I am just so self-reliant on myself. I'm going to make something, you know, like it might take me a couple years. It might take me a long, long time, but I'm going to find my happiness. So really at the end of the day, it's me versus me. I'm the only one that I have at the end of the day. At night, I know that's my head hitting the pillow, and whatever's going through my head is, those are my problems. Those are my struggles. Those aren't your guys's. I mean, you might think about them and pray for me and hope well for me or whatever the case, but yeah, it's always just about me. And I know I'm just so positive that I'm going to get through it.
Right.
It could be the worst day ever, but you know what? Each day is a new day for a wise man. You're going to get through it.
You know, I heard something today and it really stood out to me because, you know, I just had a horrible day or a couple days very recently myself. So, but I saw something today and it says, I'm not a princess. I don't need saving. I'm a queen. I got this stuff. And I was like, yes, that's it. You know, I mean, in those moments where you're feeling down and low, you're like, oh man, this really sucks.
Yep.
But it only lasts for a fleeting moment for me, and it sounds like for you, and hopefully you as well, because I surround myself with some bad A women.
That's right.
But it's realizing it's just a moment, right? And you're gonna get through it, and I don't care how bad it is. In that moment, it's going to pass.
Yeah.
And you will be okay on the other side.
Oh yeah.
And going back to you saying, like, you can take everything from me, you can take my name through the mud, my clothes off my back. I remember a time where, so my husband and I both worked in the operating room in surgery as nurses, and then I moved over to the NICU. But when he committed suicide, there was a rumor going around in the OR that it was my fault. And that was a dagger to my heart. Those were my family members. I worked with them for 7 years. I worked with them before my husband worked there. Somehow it was my fault that he committed suicide. Of course, nobody knew what was really going on.
Of course not. Yeah.
I, kept it all to myself. But at first it really hurt and it really stung. And I was like letting that eat at me and like, oh, I don't want to run into any of those people because they feel like it's my fault. And then I'm like, you know what? I know the truth. I know that whatever's being said is not true. And I can hold my head up straight. And so I did that. You know, there was a moment in time I let it bother me, but I moved past it. And later there was two certain doctors that really, really stood out to me because I really looked up to them. So when I heard that they had said something like that, it really got to me, but I let it all go and move forward with life. But about, I don't know how many years later, I ran into one of them in the cafeteria, and he's in line behind me and he's checking in with me. How are you? And, before it's like, oh, I'm fine, but I could tell he was genuine. He was really like, how are you?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I'm doing well. Thank you. Thanks for asking. And he said to me, he's like, you know what? When all that went down, I had an opinion and I feel bad about that now and I apologize. And he had never said it to me. He didn't know necessarily that it even got back to me.
Yeah.
But he, stood up and apologized for it. And that really, that meant a lot to me. So always hold your head up no matter what. I don't care what anybody else is saying about you. If you have integrity within yourself and you know what's true, the whole world can say what they want, believe what they want, think what they want. And it's just like, be true to yourself, be true to your heart, and it'll all be okay.
You'll get through it.
That does happen. It does. Sure. I've had something similar where later on you come back to that person that might have done or said something and they do feel bad. So if you have, like, I was just thinking if there's anyone that I've said something to or an opinion that I've had I shouldn't have, it probably healed them to apologize to you because you were kind of past it.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
it was for sure. But,
Yeah.
but you know, and if in that moment, and if I had gotten mad or upset and like attacked them and been like, it was not my fault. You have no idea what I was going, you know, then that just puts me in an inferior state, in an inferior or in a negative state of mind. Yeah. And instead I'm like, you know what? I know the truth, and that's all that matters. I don't need anybody else to validate that.
Exactly.
But yeah, it did feel good. And I've done the same thing too, where I've
we all
said
do.
something. I mean, we're human,
all
right?
do. Yeah.
And you say an opinion, you're like, wait a minute, like, first of all, I shouldn't have said that, and or if I did, then I'm going to go and apologize about it because it eats at you, you know. And you realize, like, I don't know what Beverly went through yesterday. I had no idea what Beverly went through yesterday, and
The business still has to go on. Our life still has to go on. So if we just maybe ask, how are you? Or care how they are, even if you don't ask it, and truly just take a breath before you interact, even in business relationships, I feel like.
I think it's even more, and what can I do for you today? I think people forget that, you know, and a lot, I'm the person who, no, I'm fine. Thanks. I got it.
Right.
You know, nope, I've got this too. Like, no, thanks for asking. But no, but on the other side of that, be willing to accept help. I was making the bed the other day and I was struggling to get that dang. Why do we have bed skirts? They're ridiculous.
Oh, I just threw mine. I ripped mine off and threw it away just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, and so I'm struggling to get this thing on. And my 8-year-old comes in and he's like, Mom, do you need help? And I was like, actually, I do. Can you stand over there and pull this ridiculous thing up from that side? And I'll pull it from this side. And so it's like that kind of shifted in my brain. I'm like, oh, he's 8. I can still accept help from him.
Yep.
Who cares? Yeah. So don't be so high and mighty. And I don't like that word, but don't be, I don't know, blinded to people wanting to help you and thinking that you're weak or something. Because that's me. I'm like, oh, I don't need help. I've got this.
Yeah.
I'm strong. I'm an independent woman. I got this. But no, like, you're not weak. You're
you know,
not,
it's a reciprocation
vulnerable.
because I know you. I know you have a big heart, and I know you would do anything for me if I asked.
Absolutely.
But I also know that if I offered, you'd be like, no, I got this. And I've been there, and
It's a strong woman thing. I swear it's a woman thing. Maybe, I don't know.
It
Could
is,
be not, but like being a mom, you're like, I got it.
Yep, I got it.
because we're told we need to be all things to everybody all the time, and we don't get to worry about ourselves. And so talking about the selfish and selfless, and seriously, like that's a big piece, because when I had to accept help for me, in fact, you knew me at this time. I got really sick and I was bedbound and couldn't do things for myself and had to accept help. I had neighbors like seeing me struggle and come to offer help, and I tried to hurry in my door and shut the door in their face because I didn't want to accept help, and they just kept coming and kept coming and offering help, and I was like,
yes,
okay. And when I finally I feel like the universe had to give me that strong lesson, like, you will accept help. And in order for me to quit being stubborn and accept it, and now it's still a learning curve, right? It was however many years of that, but talking about being and we have 3 minutes left, so let's really dive into this. But talking about being like, we're told you're selfish if you think about yourself. You can't take time for yourself. You can't, but you need to. You need to, or you don't have anything left for anybody else. So do you want to take that self-love,
my 2 minutes and 30 seconds?
I know, right?
Yeah. So Nicole over at Lone Kitten Tattoo, if you don't know her, check her out. She is doing a self-love club and had asked me to come talk, and I was like, oh gosh, what am I going to talk about? And it just came to me one day. It's like selfishness. That word just had such a negative connotation to me, and someone had pointed that out and said, well, find out why that is. And for me, it's like, I'm always doing something for other people, business, home, family, just everything. And at the end of the day, it's like, oh, I get to go to sleep and I get to do it all over again tomorrow. And I don't complain, but at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, I'd like to go do something for myself and not feel bad about it. Like, I want to go on Wednesday, I'm going to go get a pedicure. I'm like, oh, I could probably be making phone calls, or I need to help this buyer, this seller. I could be doing this for my kids, or the house needs it, whatever it is. It's like, why do I feel bad about wanting to go do something for me? Like, and especially in my business, no one manages me. So that's always tough. I'm like, oh, I could be working harder, but we have to take time to take care of ourselves, because just like you said, we can't fill anybody else's cup if our cups are already empty. So whatever that looks like, selfishness needs to be apparent. I mean, and not so much that you are, shirking your kids or your family or whatever else it is, but take care of yourself, dang it, Get
you are important, because if you're gone,
exactly,
who's going to do it?
Well, daily meditation, I think, helps too.
Oh, absolutely. And speaking of that, when you stop and think about it, let's get existential for this last 30 seconds. You are the center of the universe.
Yes.
If you didn't exist, this realm, this would not exist.
Right.
Everything would be completely different. Your kids wouldn't be here, their kids wouldn't be here, your parents, all of that. And so it's just weird. Like, take care of yourself because you are the center of the universe, and don't let anybody else tell you different. I mean,
I love it. And we're taking that word back and we're turning it around.
There you
Instead
go.
of selfish,
Taking it back.
it's self-love, it's self-care. And of course, like we say, there is a balance.
Yeah.
It can't be Beverly
Exactly.
20,000% of the
be,
time.
but-
We want it to be, but we love our kids and our jobs, and we do all that, but we also have to love ourselves first. Because
Exactly.
if we're gone, then what? Then
exactly.
nothing.
Yep, for sure.
Then I'm gonna cry because I don't have Beverly here to talk to. So is there anything else? Any self-love, selfish, anything you want to touch on?
I just feel like it's a constant battle being a mom. I mean, I'm a CEO of 2 companies. It's just so much. And I have to travel a lot, and I'm gearing up for my heavy travel season, and I'm like already tired, and I haven't even got started. But I know like a daily check-in with me and my 10-minute morning meditation is key.
Yeah. Meditation is huge.
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely.
In fact, we talked about that last week too. Oh, and we're supposed to check in, and we will if you meditated. Did you meditate?
You've been listening to Finding the Fire, where we are finding deeper connections through sharing our life experience. Being placed in foster care, losing a child to SIDS, and a husband to suicide, Cindy has turned her story into the fuel that drives her. To be featured as a guest, go to findingthefire.com. Cindy is a former NICU nurse, a foster parent, has started a nonprofit, helps others, and supports her family by selling real estate. To find out more, go to involvedcommunity.com.